Hey, Sven here. A few days ago, Make released the Make Code app, and this code app allows you to run JavaScript and Python directly within a Make scenario. Here are a few examples mentioned: transforming complex data, using some specially customized logic for a client or a project, importing libraries, and so on. And all of this without having to access external systems. In this video, I just want to quickly show you how to use it. That is, how you can run this code, and especially a couple of important things regarding syntax. And after you've watched the video, you'll at least be able to use it and decide for yourself whether it could be useful for your requirements or projects in any way. I'm Sven, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been working on process optimization and quality for over 33 years. And not just in business, but in all areas of life. And much of what I know today, I learned through experience, through trial and error, and I know what really works. In my videos, I want to show you how you can use intelligent process automation profitably for yourself and your business. If you're not quite sure where to start or just need some support, then book a free call with me. You'll find the link for that right below this video. So let's take a look. I've already read this out loud, and there's also a video about it here. And now, first of all, it basically says, what can you actually do with it? So first of all, JavaScript and Python, of course, we've already seen that. Using inputs from previous modules, that's a typical Make functionality that you can pass data through, and in the same way, I can continue working with the results in the subsequent modules. Importing any libraries, trying out the code directly in the editor with auto-completion and all the features it offers. And the whole thing runs in a secure environment, a so-called sandbox. Yes, and down here are a few very concrete examples. Advanced data transformation, here it also always describes what the idea behind it could be. This is a cool thing. I'll have to take a closer look at it another time. For example, in a Make scenario, you could have JGBT dynamically generate Python code and then execute it accordingly. Of course, that opens up completely new possibilities instead of just having fixed code inside such a module. Real-time debugging, industry-specific processing at scale, so you can actually do something with special libraries here. But for that, you really do need an enterprise account from the looks of it. All right, so let's just take a look here. It's also described here how the whole thing works. Naturally, there are also some explanations here on the help page, including what works in which plan, how the credit system works, and so on. Some time ago, I already ran some code here with Zero Code Kit in another video. In the end, it's the same function. Here I have a JavaScript code, and in this specific example, I use this JavaScript code to determine the working days for a month. So which day is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. Basically all days except Saturday and Sunday. Then I have two variables here, namely the year and the month, which in this simple case come from the variable module here. And then in the end, a whole bunch of information is returned. Let's just run that now. Here, I've set the variables to October 2025, and now we can see the result here, year 2025 and October. Then there's the list of all these working days. The 1st of October was a Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday, and then it continues again on Monday, and the 31st was also a working day. There are 23 working days in total, and the first was the 1st of October. The last was the 31st of October. And now you can do something with that. For example, only make a post on social media on working days, for instance. Okay, so let's just take this code module, Make Code. And if I open it now, I can choose here between JavaScript or Python. The input format, that is where the code comes from, is either here in the editor or it comes via mapping, meaning from some preceding module like the one I just mentioned. And if you use ChatGPT, it generates dynamic JavaScript code, which is then executed here. For now, we'll use the code editor here. And if we take a look in here, we can also see that this describes once again how it basically works. And that means if you need any libraries, you write them in here and you bring in the input variables using an expression like this. That means you specify the name of the input and use the input object to take over the data, and you return everything with curly brackets, value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you want it. So, and this, regarding the code, let's just take this particular section here and carefully copy it over, then we can proceed. paste it in here. Now use year as the variable. I need to move myself to the side for a moment. The value in this particular instance is basically the variable that we defined earlier, and here we will specifically add the month. And that's also the variable from before. And now in this code module, we need to take over the data. That means that's how it was in the other one. So here we now need the curly brackets. Year, month, close curly bracket equals input. So we'll delete this here. And the rest should basically stay the same, because here too, when we return year, month, work days, and so on, it's the same. That means I assume it should work exactly like that. And then we'll save the whole thing, take another look here. Code editor, here are the variables. So everything should basically work. Save it, and let's run the whole thing again. Okay, and what you can see right away here, maybe you noticed it, the thing was done here in just a few milliseconds. It finished, and this one actually took 2 or 3 seconds. I'm curious what that means. Let's take a look here. Here are the inputs. JavaScript editor, we don't have any additional dependencies, and here is the entire code, and down here we have the result. And the result is not correct. Parameters, year and month, must be integers. That's a bit strange. In the actual code here, we actually have this important check where I explicitly say, if the number is not an integer and so on and so forth, that's okay. The question I'm asking myself now, though, is why aren't they being recognized as numbers? Because we don't have any typing here. We haven't declared the variable as type number or anything like that, but maybe we actually need to do it explicitly, convert it into a number. Let's just try that out. I have to say, I was a bit surprised that it didn't work right away. When I run it now, pay attention to the speed again. Boom. And here, that's already 3 seconds or something like that. Result. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I find it a bit irritating that I actually have to explicitly convert these variables into numbers again, but so be it. Here we have an execution time of just under 300 milliseconds. That's actually okay. That might also correspond to the expected speed, but apparently all the overhead, like calling this module and so on, takes quite a lot of time. The result is correct. So this is the same result as before as well. Let's carefully detach those 2 existing components and then proceed to add a completely new code module, which will allow for further development and functionality. And try the whole thing again with Python. In Python, we have to access the variables here using input.get, and otherwise the return statement is identical again. And here I just had JetGPT write me a sample code, a very basic idea. So in this particular scenario, we definitely need a robust random generator. As a designated variable, we're specifically using the term topic here, and then proceeding to enter a specific value, for example, programming, which is quite relevant. And then we get something like this, random tips, which are then returned as the answer. So it's totally silly, but it's just so we can see how it works. So, and if I save this code again here and then run it, of course, I could also very easily do this with a variable as well. So then we have the execution here as well. And as a result, the topic was programming. Advice for programming: if everything works, you're lucky. If not, then it's experience. Yeah, that's sometimes true. Here, 680 milliseconds. So I'm really curious to see if once it's out of beta, it might get a bit faster and how it will generally behave then. In principle, I think it's a cool thing, especially that we have this code editor here. I'll take the opportunity at some point to actually do something with a map code, but for now, at least you've seen how it basically works. Think about your own use cases where you might say, man, at this point, I really wish I could do a bit of programming to execute something. And that's exactly what you can use this module for. Have fun with it and see you next time. Bye.